Yeah, Rupinder.
Okay.
Will be waiting for your principal, ma'am, to
Uh, should I confirm?
your choice. You decide how the protocol works over there.
Okay. Very good morning, everyone. Suveda ma'am, Principal ma'am has sent her apologies for she could not attend. She has an urgent meeting right now.
Okay. So we
So,
can
so with
begin,
your
right?
due permission, yeah. So with your due permission, should I begin?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. आप वो कर लेना. हाँ जी, हाँ. Very honorable resource person of the day, Dr. Sumedha Bhandari, Assistant Professor in English, Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana. Respected Madam Principal, Dr. Neena Seth Pajni, worthy colleagues and dear students, a very good morning. It gives me immense pleasure and privilege to extend a warm welcome to a woman of excellent faculties, a visionary with enriched prudence and phenomenal energy, Dr. Sumedha Bhandari. Ma'am, we welcome you on board for the 11th webinar series and today's worthwhile deliberation on the topic Decoding the English Syntax. I am Bangera Rupinder Kaur, Assistant Professor in English, and I am the moderator of today's event. Well, before we proceed to this, to savor this intellectual treat, I feel honored to acknowledge about our college, Govindgarh Public College, that is affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh. Well, since its inception in 2003, the institution has been striving to achieve excellence in sports, academics, and various cultural events under the able administration of our diligent principal, Dr. Neena Seth Pajni. Our college is a multi-faculty co-educational institution proudly administering courses such as BA, BCom, BBA, BCA, PGDCA, MA English and MA Punjabi, and also we are running English proficiency certificate course and many other related skill development courses. I'm proud to acknowledge that our students have been clinching titles in sports and various state, national, and international levels. And not only this, our diligent students have also secured positions in university merit. And recently, one of our students, Mr. Tarun Jindal of BCom second year, has secured third position in the university merit. It is also worth mentioning that our magnanimous trust, Govindgarh Educational Social Welfare Trust, and Madam Principal have been providing scholarships to the financially weak but meritorious students. And every year, around 80 to 85 students are benefited with the same. Well, being a program officer of NSS, I'm also proud to acknowledge the fact that we have been awarded with the Best NSS Unit Award amongst 206 colleges of Punjab University, Chandigarh. The college promotes its vision and mission and also contributes working towards imparting quality education and holistic growth of our students, keeping in this in view. The IQAC of our college, under the guidance of Madam Principal, has organized this event for all of us. So to proceed further, I would like to acknowledge everyone, and in fact, I'm proud and privileged, and in fact, honored to introduce you all with the resource person of the day, Dr. Sumedha Bhandari. She's assistant professor in English from Punjab University, Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana. She has 14 years of experience in the teaching. Her field of specialization is Afro-American literature and eco-criticism. She has been awarded with multiple awards and she's editor of PAU magazine. She's the convener of IELTS TOEFL committee PAU. She's also the member of editorial board Indian Journal of Ecology. She's associate editor of international journal Literary Voice, and she has to her credentials 21 research papers and articles in journals of national and international repute, 5 book chapters, 13 course manuals, 2 research bulletins, and 2 books she has authored, and she has also edited 1 conference proceedings. Ma'am, it's pride and privilege for every one of us to have you on board. Please proceed.
Thank you, Rupinder. I don't know whether I'm worthy of all those adjectives that you used for me. It was a pretty heavy baggage you placed on my shoulder. I don't know if I'm, accepting those words or not, but it's always a pleasure to see you, and it's always a pleasure to see your own students doing so well. So it's
Thank you.
an honor and a privilege to be in your college, so not physically but virtually. And it's always good to come to your college and meet your students, because we become a little selfish because we are mostly dealing with science students and students who are related to humanities and literature. We don't get to talk to them much. So it's a wonderful privilege and an honor for me to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And if the protocol permits, should I start with my presentation?
Absolutely, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just start sharing the content, and then we'll proceed from there on. The ill effect of, or the not so good effect of virtual medium is you don't get to see your audience. And teacher like me feeds on the reactions of the audience. So it really is not that wonderful when you're talking on a virtual medium, because you don't get to know whether the person on the other hand is able to understand and able to participate in what you are doing. But one thing I can assure you that I may not be worthy of so many adjectives, but I'll definitely try not to bore you. Because whenever we talk about English syntax and English grammars, you know, you hear a lot of snoring sounds coming along. Understandable, because whenever we talk of rules and regulations, it is boring. But I'll try as far as possible not to make it boring and make it as interesting and as comprehensible as possible. So, topic today which I'm going to discuss today is decoding the English syntax. And I really love it if this is a little more interactional and I am posed with little questions or queries or observations or opinions, because then it really makes the entire presentation more interesting as well. So I would really appreciate any time you wish to interrupt, please feel free to do so at any time you wish to ask a question. You are more than welcome to ask, right? I do not claim I have the exhaustive knowledge on the subject, but I have a little bit of knowledge on the subject, which I'll try to make it more comprehensible and understandable for the general public as well. What we'll talk about today is decoding the English syntax. Now, what is syntax? Syntax is just a structure or a rules of structure. How is a sentence to be made? What are the elements that work in the making of a sentence? How those elements work in relationship to one another? That is a syntax. So simply speaking, syntax is a set of rules or a set of internal structure of a sentence. How do you put words together to form sentence? Let's see how does this syntax came into being. Can anybody tell me, if anybody wishes to participate, where did English language start? When did it start? Who started it? There must be one person in the world who came up with the idea, this is A and not B, and this is B and not A. There must be someone. There must be someone who said it is pronounced as A and not B. Why? Okay. English is basically a Proto-German language. Now, what is a Proto-German language? people who were belonging to Germany, at that time Scandinavians and all, they moved towards Europe and they had their own set of language. That language started being developed into English as it reached Europe because Europe had their own dialect. That dialect mixed with these German languages to make English, right? When the Romans came to to Europe, they carried with them the alphabet, the Roman alphabet A, B, C, right? English is a mixture of many languages. Middle English has a lot of influence of French as well. So English is not a pure language in itself, it's a mixture of many languages. The study of the English language is called linguistics. The scientific study of any language is called linguistics. Not necessarily English language only, any language, Hindi, Punjabi, or any other language in the world. The study of this is called linguistics. The first linguist in the world? The first linguist in the world is Panini. He's the one who also gave the system of grammar, the grammar that you study. So that person is considered the first linguist or first Phoenician of the world as well. Now, what is linguistics? Linguistics has a couple of branches. The first branch is the sound of a language. Now, how do I understand how to pronounce the word? That is to the sound of the language. How does this sound come into being? When he was thinking about linguistics, he wasn't thinking about linguistics in that term because the word wasn't even discovered then. He listened to the sounds of nature. He thought there's a pattern in these sounds. And that pattern can actually be put into words to make it into a sound that comes out as a particular word. So when I say cake, that is a pattern of cake, K-8. That's a pattern of sound. That pattern of sound became the sound of any language. Now that sound of language will be very similar in every language. We have ka in English, we have ka in Hindi, we have ka in Punjabi as well. Ka, right? There will be very similar sounds in every language of the world. That similarity of sound is your phonetics. The study of sound system of any language becomes phonology. The second thing that you see under the heading of sounds of language, phonetics, phonology. So phonetics is basically the sound system of any language. Phonology is studying of the sound system of any language. Now, if you've ever seen a dictionary, you will see besides the dictionary there are some alphabet written, which are symbols, which are not normal alphabets but symbols. That is the International Phonetic Alphabet. That is the symbol given to every sound of the letters in English. There are 26 letters in English and there are 44 sounds produced through these 26 letters. That is the sound of the language. If you need to understand language, you need to understand the sound of the language. There is similar, very little variance in the sounds in every language. For example, in Hindi we have k and k, but in English we have k. But when we have to say an aspirated k, we say k. It comes out as k, that means it's coming out with a throw of air along with it. So it becomes k. So there is so much similarity in every language. If we start looking at similarities in every language, it is easier to understand how to, understand how to make that language a part of your system. I normally hear a lot of, I have a request, Rupinder. I don't know what it means, but someone is giving me a request of an annotation. I don't know, I have to decline it or approve it to understand it. So I'm just keeping it in the loop. If you understand what to do with, please do with it. I'm new at Cisco, so I might be a little amateur in these things. Okay, moving back to my presentation. So if I have to understand any language, I have to understand the sound of language. And many times I see a lot of Punjabi students complaining, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬੋਲੀ ਦੀ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਇਹ ਏਦਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ It's because we are not understanding the sound of the language, we are understanding the word. Now, whenever in your schools you've been taught to learn the spelling, you will never understand the meaning of the word. You'll never understand the sound of the word. So the spelling of the word should not be learned through C-A-K-E. It should be learned through the sound cake, cake, K. What sounds K? K. K is C. A is A. Then K. Again K becomes K, right? Becomes E. Now, yes, obviously there are a lot of anomalies because C and K both have the sound K. But that is something that your mind starts developing. We learn more about the sounds of any language. So the first step of comprehending any language is to understand the sound of language. So instead of saying A, B, C, we say A, B, K, D, A, F, and it continues till Z. So if you've learned language through the sound, it becomes easier for you to understand the language. Those schools all over India are now doing so because students in LKG and UKG are now taught phonetics, phonemes, the phonetic sound of alphabet rather than the alphabet itself, which is very important if you wish to increase the understanding of the language. Now, second, let's move to what we are going to do today. Linguistics has a second branch called grammar. Now, grammar has two parts, morphology and syntax. Morphology is how a word is formed. Now, if I say, for example, the word root, R-O-O-T, root, right? That is one word. Now, that is a root word. If I say rootless, L-E-S-S, I put a suffix. Suffix is what we say in Punjabi, pichetar. So I put a less, rootless. Now, if I put, a prefix along with it, can I put a prefix along with it just for the sake of argument? Ir rootless. So it's not a correct word, but ir rootless. So ir becomes my prefix. Now, morphology is the study of how a word is formed. How a word is formed by using the root word and then the prefix and suffix along with it. Now, all the students who prepare for IELTS and TOEFL exams or GRE exams, you have to learn a ton of words. And you have to have a very solid vocabulary if you wish to clear these exams. It's a simple funda. Simply understand the root word. If you understand the root of any word, rest of the part is superficial. It will only add a exactly new meaning to the already rooted word, but the rooted word has the same meaning. So anything as aster would be related to star. So if you understand the root word, you understand the prefix and suffix along with it, and then it becomes easy for you to understand the meaning of a word. So instead of learning hundreds of words, you simply learn hundreds of roots. And then by hundreds of roots, maybe you'll learn 1,000 words in one book. So this is morphology, the study of words. And then comes syntax. How do I place these words in a sentence so that a definite meaning in a sentence comes along? That is equally important, right? I'll go to syntax later. Let me go to another thing, semantics and pragmatics. Semantics is meaning and pragmatics is the application of that meaning of a word or a sentence, right? Let me go to what we are going to discuss today. Let me ask you a question. How do we make sentences? Are sentences a random collection of words? If not, what are the required components of a sentence? If anybody wishes to participate, tell me what is the most important element in a sentence, without which a sentence cannot be formed? Okay, it will become a rhetorical question if I have to answer it again. Okay, so how do we make sentences? How do we make sentences? We pick up a couple of words and then, just throw them in the mix, shake it together, and a sentence is formed, is it? Now we shake it together, we see the relationship between the words, and then we form a sentence. So what are the required components of a sentence? If I simply ask you what is the structure of a sentence, you would say, ma'am, subject plus verb plus object, right? So I need a subject, verb, and object. But when I say out, get out, there is no subject, there is no object, there is only a verb, get out, right? So that subject and an object is not the obligatory element. The obligatory element is the most important element in a sentence is the verb, the action being done. If there is no action, there's nothing to talk about. So the sentence would not sustain in itself. Now look at these words, these sentences in Hindi. Raju ne chai piya. Raju ne chai pi. Raju chai ne piya. Raju chai ne pi. Now, obviously, in a second, you would be able to gather which is the right sentence. Raju ne chai piya. Raju ne chai pi. Raju chai ne piya. Raju chai ne pi. Raju ne chai pi. How do you know it's correct? How do you know it's correct? How do we come to the idea that this sentence is correct? Many times we look at it as a sentence and say, oh, this is correct. But we don't know why it is correct. Why is it so? Now, if I ask you, what is the grammatical rule applied here? I don't know. It looks correct. It looks fine. Now, if the sentence has to have a structure of subject plus verb plus Raju ne chai tea, subject, ne, I don't know what is the variant in English because there is no variant in English. So Raju is subject, chai is object, tea is verb. So verb तो बाद में आ गया, पर फिर भी ये सही है. ऐसा क्यों? Let's translate it. राजू ने चाय पिया. अब इसको अगर हम इंग्लिश में करें, राजू टी drank. Now we know that's not correct. There's something wrong. राजू ने चाय पी, राजू टी drank. Raju chai ne piya, Raju tea drank. Raju chai ne pee, Raju tea drank. All the sentences in English have one meaning only, Raju tea drank. And I don't have a variant for ne. But even if I don't have a variant for ne, the sentence has no meaning. If I have to make a sentence which has a meaning, Raju has drunk tea. I have to put the word has. So is has a variant of ne? We don't know. But we know that the sentence is correct only if I put the word has in it. Has is an auxiliary verb. Think verb. It's not the main verb. Now, I need to ask you, why do we know that these sentences are correct or incorrect? Why do we know that? You know, scientists have discovered a language gene which is called FOXP2. We all have that gene. If you do not have that gene, you will not be able to understand any language of the world, not only English, but any language of the world. People who have language, challenged in some way, are not able to understand languages, do not have this gene or have a mutation in this gene, then only they cannot understand language. Otherwise, we all have the capability to understand every language on the face of the earth. We all have that because we have a language gene. Now, how do I know that these sentences are correct and these sentences are not correct? Because we all learn from form to function. Now, any language starts from I language. When I start reading, I start understanding the form of that sentence. Now, you know, earlier it used to be believed that we learn language by mimicking, which is partially true. Now, if my mother says mama, and as a kid, I look at her lips and I also say mama. Now, that doesn't mean she's teaching me every word which has bilabial. That means both lips are used. Mama, papa, dada. You know, she's not teaching me every word. But I understand the concept. This is how mama is spoken, so this is how papa will also be spoken. Every time we start learning a language, our neurons in the brain start making connections of sentence or parallel patterns. Those patterns help me from moving from I language to E language. E language is a language we use to communicate. Is somebody asking a question? Yeah, suppose not.
No, ma'am, please carry on.
Okay. So what I was saying is that when you understand a language, you start with an I language. You start understanding the form of that language. Now, it is not that you have read all the sentences in the world that are ever written in English language. But if you've seen one kind of sentence, and then you see an example of that kind of sentence, you understand the pattern there and then. That is because the neurons in your brain have started making connections. here the idea of reading books helps. Because the more connections my brain makes of a similar sentence pattern, the more understanding I will develop of that language. And the more better my e-language will be, my communication will be. This is called the generative quality of a language. Language helps, we generate the language as we move. Language is not static. English is not what English was in the time of Shakespeare or what English was in the time of when Romans invaded. English is very different from how it started. So language is not static. In fact, right now, language is a tool you're using and language changes with you. So as you make more and more patterns in your mind, more and more additions become a part of language. We all have something called the language acquisition device, LAD. We all have it within us. The only thing is we choose not to explore it. Because I have seen a particular sentence, I know this is correct, and leave that information there. The moment I start using my brain to make connections with other sentences in other languages as well, then also my development of the language increases. Now let me discuss how syntax works in the understanding of language. Now syntax is on the basis of just syntax. Now you can divide words on the basis of semantics as well, which is the meaning, but right now we are talking only of a syntax. So lexical category, that is a category which gives us content, some kind of so nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, etc. These are lexical categories. You can see them in a sentence. I am eating an apple. I is a pronoun, right? Eating an apple. That becomes my predicate. Eating is a verb. An is a what is an article. An apple is a object or a noun. Again, I am eating a red apple. Red becomes my adjective. So these are your lexical categories that we see in a sentence. Then next is your functional category. Now this becomes a little problematic. Now what is a functional category? Those categories which you normally don't see in a sentence, but you feel them. For example, the tense. When I say I am eating an apple, what tense am I using? A simple tense, a simple present tense. Right now I'm eating an apple. I was eating an apple. Now this is giving me a feeling of a time. I was eating an apple 2 days ago. Not now I'm not eating it. So that's giving me a sense of time. Right? So this category you're not seeing it. You're just feeling it. Now another thing. Aspect. What is aspect? I eat an apple. What is that? A simple and definite tense. I eat an apple. That means I eat it now, tomorrow, yesterday, anytime, but I eat an apple. So it is an indefinite time. I am eating an apple. A continuous time. That is giving me another aspect of tense. Tense is basically simple, past, present, past, future, right? When I use ing, continuous, or has eaten, perfect, then I'm using the aspect of tense. Another aspect is added to the tense. Otherwise, tense is simply simple present, simple past, simple future. When I add continuous and perfect, I'm adding an aspect to the tense. And the third is your five features. These are called five features, which means they are the number, person, and gender. What is number, person, and gender? It means what is the number? Is it singular? Is it plural? Madhupendra, I'm getting requests again and again to share content. I don't know what to do with it. Please look into it. So number is singular or plural, right? So in Hindi we have, in Hindi we have singular, plural, and then it is also dual in here in some languages. In Sanskrit we have singular, plural, dual. In Hindi, English we have singular and plural only, right? And in person, first person I, second person you, third person he, she, and gender, masculine and feminine. So in English and French, we have masculine and feminine. Try peace. In Hindi, we have masculine and feminine, but in In Sanskrit, we have masculine and feminine, and also the neuter gender. In English, also some grammarians say that it can be called neuter gender, but we normally don't use it as a neuter gender. We put it in some kind of gender framework. And the last thing is the agreement. How do these words agree with each other to make a sense to a sentence? Now, the basic rule of agreement is that the subject should match with the verb. If the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. If the subject is masculine, the verb has to work with that masculine or the feminine, right? If the subject is, first person, the verb has to work with the first person or the second person or the third person. So this is the functional category that gives a meaning to the sentence, that gives a feeling or a thought to the sentence. It is not something that is seen but felt in a sentence. Okay, let's go to the next aspect. Now look at this. Raju drinks tea. Raju is drinking tea. Raju has drunk tea. Raju had drank tea. Now, in all these sentences, you can see how the aspect of things move. The first sentence, Raju drinks tea. Now, this is something which is an activity or a habitual activity that Raju has. He drinks tea. Now, when I'm saying is drinking tea, I'm putting a feeling into it, a framework into it, that he's now doing it, right? So I am adding an aspect to the tense. When I say has drunk tea, I'm adding a perfect aspect to the tense, the present perfect aspect. Had drank tea or had drunk tea is also right. Then I'm adding a past perfect aspect to the tense. I'll be discussing tenses in further a little later. Let me go to what is agreement in language. Now, agreement is the fundamental principle of any language, whether it's Hindi, English, Punjabi, Sanskrit, any language you study. There has to be an agreement between a subject and a verb. Otherwise, the sentence will not make any sense. Right? So, the element of a sentence that agrees with a verb is called a subject. That means verb is the most important element. Sentence will only work if subject agrees with it, if subject works in relationship with the verb. Another thing that has to be a basic element in this agreement is the number, person, and gender. So when I say you are your best friend, you is second, your is matching that second person. They are playing, now they is a number, right? And they are playing, are is matching that number. He is a gender and his is matching that gender. So they have to work together in agreement, number, person, gender, subject and verb to make a sentence. Now, if you have to identify if a sentence is correct and wrong, the right way, or you can, say the most predicted way would be you actually go to a sentence and find the sentence, and then ask who is doing that work. Yeah, what is being affected by that verb? Whatever is being affected by that verb becomes your object. Who is doing that verb becomes your subject. It's as simple as that. When you identify that, then you identify whether the sentence is correct or not. I hope I'm making myself clear. Okay, so let's move to the parts of speech. Now, I will not go into exhaustive understanding of parts of speech. You all have done it many times in many of your classes. So just give it a solid reading. What is a noun? Obviously, something that is the name of a person, place, or thing. Pronoun takes the place of a noun. Adjective qualifies the noun, describes the noun. Adverb describes the action, that is the verb. Preposition. What is a preposition? Now, this is very important. Preposition means preposition. It tells the position of a noun or a pronoun or the subject. So it comes before the object, not after the object. In Hindi, it is postposition, not preposition. Sabhi chai tea. It comes after. The verb also comes after and the preposition also comes after the object. जैसे when we say copy table पर, right? पर, on, right? Copy table पर है. Now on comes after table. And when we say in English, we say copy is on the table. Now on is before table. So in preposition which your word's preposition should come before the object. In English, it always comes before the object. So you never end your sentence with a preposition on, off, in. You cannot end your sentence with these words because these are prepositions. In Hindi, you can do so because in Hindi, there is no there is postposition. This is the problem when we start translating literally. Hindi or Punjabi say. When we start translating Hindi and Punjabi sentences into English, we forget this rule. We start translating literally, and in Hindi and Punjabi, the verb comes in the end and the preposition comes in the end, and we translate it like that. Now, when you are doing translation, you have to understand that preposition and verb in English have to come before the object. That means that word which is being affected by the action. It has to come before that. Now, conjunction is where it's joining two clauses or phrases together. We'll discuss phrase and clause later. And interjection, which talks about your feeling. Now, look at this. A word is not defined as simply noun, adverb, adjective. How do we know that this is a noun, this is an adjective? It is defined by its place in the sentence. So a word can act as an adverb. This soon, they arrived soon after. Now after is describing what? Soon. Right? Soon after. Arrived soon after. When did they arrive? They arrived after. So it is describing the verb arrived soon. Then preposition, they arrived after us. Hamare baad aaye. Here after is a preposition. It is describing the relationship between they arrived and us. Right? And then they arrived after we had left. They arrived is one part, we had left as another part. We joined them together to show a relationship by using the word after, which is a conjunction. So a word can act as a noun, it can act as an adjective, it can act as an adverb, it can act as a preposition, conjunction, depending on its usage. So you cannot say this is only a noun. You cannot say this is only a verb, this is only an adverb, this is only a preposition. There is no distinction, right? A verb, how it is being used in a sentence, how this word actually gives a meaning to the sentence. Then it will be defined as a noun, adverb, or a preposition. Okay, I hope I'm making myself clear. Okay, subject, object, predicate. Now, what is a predicate? Subject is something, the work that is being done. Who is doing that work? That is the subject. Rest of the sentence becomes the predicate. Except the subject, the rest of the sentence is the predicate. So the object, the verb, or the complement, or any phrase, the objective phrase along with it, anything that comes later, except the subject, is the predicate. I'll discuss this further when we go to sentence patterns. Now let's discuss verb. Now verb is the main element, right? So if you need to see if a sentence is correct or wrong, just look at the verb. Now, as I said, verbs precede the object, they come before the object. In English, in Hindi, they come after the object. That's why we say Raju drank tea, Raju ne chai pee. P is for drank and P is coming later. So जब हम translation कर रहे हैं, हमें इस चीज का ध्यान रखना है. That is why we say English is a verb medial language. Verb comes in the middle of the sentence. And Hindi is a verb final language. Verb comes at the end. Punjabi is a verb final language. Verb comes at the end of the sentence. Now, you must have discussed the types of verbs. Main action verb, drank, has, auxiliary verb, is, am, are, has, have, are, auxiliary verbs. Verbs, they help to create a time frame of a verb, right? अगर इज, एम, आर या हैज, हैव होंगे तभी हमें पता लगेगा द एस्पेक्ट ऑफ टेंस, अदरवाइज हमें एस्पेक्ट ऑफ टेंस नहीं पता लगेगा, हमें सिर्फ ये पता लगेगा एक्शन हुआ, कब हुआ, प्रेजेंट में हुआ, पास्ट में हुआ, फ्यूचर में हुआ, उसके लिए हमें ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब की जरूरत है. And there are another 3 types of verbs: transitive, ditransitive, and intransitive. Now, what does the word transitive mean? It means transition. That means मैंने जो काम किया उसका इफेक्ट आप पे आया कि नहीं आया. I laughed at him. सब्जेक्ट भी है, लास्ट वर्ब है, किस पे हंसी, him, उस पे हंसी. I laughed at him and his friend. अब 2 ऑब्जेक्ट है, मैं उससे भी हंसी और उसके दोस्त से भी हंसी. ये 2 ऑब्जेक्ट है तो ये 2 डाइट्रांजिटिव बन गए. I laugh. अब मैं हंसी, उससे किससे हंसी पता नहीं, उसका इफेक्ट किसी पे हुआ नहीं हुआ, मैं सिर्फ हंसी. This is an intransitive or zero transitive verb. Now, how do you understand this? आपने सिंपल एक सवाल पूछना है वर्ब से what. What. अगर what का जवाब दे रहा है लास्ट तो वर्ब intransitive नहीं है, ट्रांजिटिव है. अगर what का जवाब नहीं दे रहा है तो वो ट्रांजिटिव है. राइट. तो आना इसका मतलब क्या है, मैं हंसी, किससे हंसी, क्यों हंसी नहीं पता, तो इट्स एन इंट्रांजिटिव वर्ब. आई लाफ्ड एट हिम, किससे हंसी, हिम इज देयर, देन इट इज अ ऑब्जेक्ट ओवर देयर, देन इट इज अ ट्रांजिटिव वर्ब. राइट. नाउ लेट्स गो टू टेंसेस. बहुत बार करा है और फिर भी बच्चों को बहुत प्रॉब्लम आती है, क्योंकि हम जब टेंसेस करते हैं हम कहते हैं सब्जेक्ट प्लस फर्स्ट पर्सन प्लस सेकंड पर्सन प्लस आईएनजी एंड वी गेट लॉस्ट इन द रूल. रूल समझने की जरूरत नहीं है, रूल अपने आप बाद में बन जाएगा, पहले उसका सेंस समझो, एस्पेक्ट समझो. इफ यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड द एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द टेंस, रूल अपने आप बन जाएगा. नाउ सिंपल प्रेजेंट, आई ईट एन एप्पल. राइट. प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूअस, आई एम ईटिंग एन एप्पल. प्रेजेंट परफेक्ट, आई हैव ईटन एप्पल. अभी अभी खत्म हुआ है, अभी खा रहा था बस अभी लास्ट बाइट ली है, लास्ट बाइट मेरे मुंह में है. एक्शन स्टिल हैज एन इम्प्लीकेशन, हैज एन इफेक्ट ऑन द प्रेजेंट. दैट्स प्रेजेंट परफेक्ट. आई हैव बीन ईटिंग एन एप्पल. मैं तो खा रहा था, कब से खा रहा हूँ, अभी भी खा रहा हूँ, खा रहा था, अभी भी खा रहा हूँ, खत्म नहीं हुआ मेरा. So the effect from the past is still going in the present, so it is a present perfect continuous. अब past, I ate an apple. मैंने खाया था. I was eating an apple. मैं खा रहा था. यहाँ था है, वहाँ है. मैं खा रहा हूँ, मैं खा रहा था. I had eaten an apple. मैंने खाया था, अभी नहीं खाया. मैंने कल एप्पल खाया था, मैंने 2 दिन पहले एप्पल खाया था. I had been eating an apple. मैं खा रहा था, जब वो मेरे को मिलने आया तब मैं एप्पल खा रहा था. राइट. तो था और है हमारा यहाँ डिफरेंस पकड़ेगा. जब आपको ट्रांसलेशन आती है तब प्रॉब्लम क्या आती है कि हमें समझ नहीं आता वो प्रेजेंट में आएगा कि पास्ट में आएगा. आपको सिंपली है और था देखना है. अगर था तो पास्ट से, अगर है तो प्रेजेंट है. एज सिंपल एज दैट. And then you see whether continuous है कि perfect है कि perfect continuous है. And then future, I will eat an apple. मैं खाऊंगा. I will be eating an apple. मैं खा रहा हूँगा. जब तुम मुझसे मिलने आओगे तब मैं एप्पल खा रहा हूँगा. जब मैंने प्रेडिक्शन कर दी 4 दिन बाद जब तुम मुझसे मिलने आओगे तब मैं एप्पल खा रहा हूँगा. I will have eaten an apple. जब तुम 4 दिन बाद मुझसे मिलने आओगे तब तक मैंने एप्पल खा लिया होगा. राइट. आई विल हैव बीन ईटिंग एन एप्पल. जब तुम मुझसे 4 दिन बाद मिलने आओगे तब मैंने एप्पल खा लिया होगा, खत्म हो गया होगा. इट मस्ट हैव फिनिश्ड बाय 10. राइट. सो दिस इज हाउ द टेंसेस वर्क. डू नॉट लुक एट द रूल्स. रूल्स बाद में बन जाएंगे. रूल्स को याद करते करते हम उसका सेंस भूल जाते हैं. यू सिंपली हैव टू सी है, था, होगा. है इज फॉर द प्रेजेंट, था इज फॉर द पास्ट, होगा is for the future. Right. So if you look at these 3 words in a sentence, then you simply can determine whether it's a present tense, past tense, or future tense. Once you've determined that, then you see whether the action is still going on. If it is still going on, then it is continuous. If it has just completed, then it is perfect. If it has just completed but still in action, then it is perfect continuous. Now, what are sentence patterns? हमने हमेशा sentences को सिंपल, कंपाउंड, कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंसेस देखा. मैं वो डिस्कस नहीं करूंगी, बहुत बार आपने क्लास में कराया होगा, राइट. और हमने यहाँ देख लिया इम्पेरेटिव सेंटेंसेस, वो सेंटेंसेस जो हमें कोई तरह का एडवाइस देते हैं या हमें कोई तरह का ऑर्डर देते हैं, गेट आउट ऑफ द क्लास, कम हियर. These are imperative sentences, right? Or we talk about, exclamatory sentences. Wow, this is a boring lecture, right? So these are exclamatory sentences. Now, what is a sentence pattern? Sentence pattern is, if you need to understand the language, you need to understand the pattern of the sentence. How the sentence forms. अगर simply subject or intransitive verb लिया है, Elizabeth swims, वो स्विमिंग करती है, उसका इफेक्ट किसी और पे नहीं आया. तो सब्जेक्ट प्लस intransitive verb becomes one pattern. Subject plus transitive verb plus direct object. That means मेरा जो मैंने बोला उसका इफेक्ट आया किसी ऑब्जेक्ट पे. जॉन हेटेड लीमा बीन, राइट. अब हेटेड क्या है, मेरा ट्रांजिटिव वर्ब है, उसका इफेक्ट आ रहा है किस चीज के ऊपर, लीमा बीन के ऊपर, विच इज अ डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. किसी चीज के ऊपर डायरेक्टली इफेक्ट हो रहा है. Then subject plus linking verb plus subject complement. The sea is beautiful. The sea becomes the subject. Linking verb is or the auxiliary verb, and subject complement is beautiful. अब यहाँ पर beautiful object नहीं है. क्यों? sea के आगे effect नहीं आ रहा beautiful पे. Beautiful sea को define कर रहा है. sea को explain कर रहा है. sea कैसा था? sea बहुत खूबसूरत था. तो सी यहाँ पर क्या है, सब्जेक्ट का कॉम्प्लीमेंट. इसको हम एस में लिखते हैं. ये कॉम्प्लीमेंट कर रहा है सब्जेक्ट को. कॉम्प्लीमेंट करना, किसी की तारीफ करना, राइट. तो वो कॉम्प्लीमेंट होता है COMPLIMENT. यहाँ है COMPLEMENT, विच मीन्स उसको सपोर्ट कर रहा है. तो यहाँ ब्यूटीफुल उसको सपोर्ट कर रहा है, सी को, वो ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं है. अब जनरली जब आप देखोगे तो आप कहोगे सी हो गया सब्जेक्ट, इज हो गया वर्ब, ब्यूटीफुल हो गया ऑब्जेक्ट. सब्जेक्ट प्लस वर्ब प्लस ऑब्जेक्ट, विच इज इनकरेक्ट. बिकॉज ऑब्जेक्ट का काम होना चाहिए कि वो अपने आप इंडिपेंडेंटली खड़ जाए. जैसे लीमा बीन्स इन द सेंटेंस, वो इंडिपेंडेंटली खड़े हैं. हेटेड का इफेक्ट आ रहा है लीमा बीन्स पर. लीमा बीन्स का अपने आप भी मीनिंग है. ब्यूटीफुल का अपने आप मीनिंग नहीं है. ब्यूटीफुल क्या है, क्या चीज ब्यूटीफुल है? ब्यूटीफुल किसी चीज को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए है, राइट. So beautiful over here is a subject complement. And look at the next. The writer told his publisher a 3-part story. अब writer क्या है, subject. किसने काम करा, उसने क्या किया काम, उसने बेच दिया. told, क्या बेचा उसने, a 3-part story. तो डायरेक्टली किस पे इफेक्ट आया, 3-part story पे, which is a direct object. लेकिन इनडायरेक्टली किस पे इफेक्ट आएगा, पब्लिशर पे. डायरेक्टली क्या हुआ, स्टोरी बिकी. इनडायरेक्टली क्या हुआ, किसको बिकी, पब्लिशर को बिकी. तो इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट इज हिज पब्लिशर. सो द स्ट्रक्चर ओवर हियर बिकम्स सब्जेक्ट प्लस ट्रांजिटिव वर्ब प्लस indirect object plus direct object, right? So sold is a transitive verb because what was sold, a 3-part story was sold. Then next is subject plus transitive verb plus direct object plus object complement. अब जैसे हमने सब्जेक्ट का कॉम्प्लीमेंट करा था, मतलब ये वर्ड सिर्फ सब्जेक्ट को डिफाइन कर रहा था, ऐसे सिर्फ ऑब्जेक्ट को डिफाइन करेगा. Now Samantha called her sister a baby. Samantha is a subject. Now called is a transitive verb over here. किसको कॉल करा उसने, सिस्टर को. सिस्टर डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है. सिस्टर के ऊपर कॉल का इफेक्ट हुआ, पर क्या कॉल करा, उसको बेबी बोला. अब अ बेबी क्या है, किसको बोला, सिस्टर को बोला. तो वो अ बेबी सिस्टर को डिफाइन कर रहा है, एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है. तो वो उसका बन गया ऑब्जेक्ट कॉम्प्लीमेंट. देन इज एन इन्वर्टेड सेंटेंस, जहां पर वर्ब plus subject plus verb. Can Sherry play with us? अब can क्या है? Verb. Sherry subject. Play verb. With us is just a complement added to it. Us can also be an object over here. And with is what? A conjunction, right? Or a preposition in that case. Then verb plus other, which is a command. Leave this room. ये कमरा छोड़ दो. Or I can say leave. वो भी एक सेंटेंस बन जाएगा अकेले वर्ब के साथ. जैसे कोई भी साउंड सिस्टम पे वाउल के बिना कोई वर्ड नहीं बन सकता. If I have to say cake, ए की साउंड जरूर आएगी, राइट? इवन इफ आई हैव टू से ईट, ई की साउंड जरूर आएगी. अगर वाउल नहीं होगा तो वर्ड नहीं बनेगा. वाउल साउंड के बिना वर्ड नहीं बन सकता. सिमिलरली वर्ब के बिना सेंटेंस नहीं बन सकता. Then subject, that is working as an object, plus transitive verb. The queen was laid to rest. Queen मर गई थी, उसको हमने दफना दिया. तो queen यहाँ subject है. कौन was laid to rest? Queen, right? And then the transitive word laid, right? क्योंकि क्या हुआ उसका? किसको हमने laid करा? Who was laid? Queen was laid. तो queen यहाँ object का भी काम कर रही है. So these are your sentence patterns. Any questions up till now? Okay. So let's go to what is a phrase and a clause. I'll not go into exhaustive of it. Simply, an incomplete thought is a phrase. A complete thought is a clause. अब normally कई लोग कहते हैं अगर verb नहीं होगा तो phrase हो गया, अगर verb होगा तो clause होगा. That is an incorrect definition. Eating an apple has a verb, eating. But ये convey नहीं कर रहा exact thought. कब खा रहा है, कहाँ खा रहा है, कब खाया. It's not complete thought. I am eating an apple is a complete thought. Then it becomes a clause. Now, you must have discussed in classes what is a dependent clause and independent clause. So I'll not go into it. If you wish, we can discuss this later as well. I'll go to noun cases. अब क्योंकि हम syntax की बात कर रहे हैं, तो हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा कि सब्जेक्ट है या जो नाउन है, जो सब्जेक्ट और ऑब्जेक्ट दोनों की तरह आता है, वो कहाँ आ सकता है. So nominative case is a dictionary form of the noun. Now it is the name of the subject of a sentence. The cat is sleeping. अगर subject की जगह पे noun आता है, तो nominative case of a noun. अगर ऑब्जेक्ट की जगह पे आता है, आई एम ईटिंग एन एप्पल. एप्पल यहाँ ऑब्जेक्ट है. अगर ऑब्जेक्ट की जगह पे आता है, देन इट इज एन एक्यूजेटिव केस ऑफ अ नाउन. अगर इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट की तरह आता है, देन इट इज अ डेटिव केस. जॉन थ्रोज द बॉल टू हिज डॉग. अब बॉल डायरेक्ट है, थ्रो क्या है? ट्रांजिटिव वर्ब. थ्रो का इफेक्ट क्या आ रहा है? बॉल के ऊपर आ रहा है. बट किसको दी गई है बॉल? डॉग को दी गई है. डॉग यहाँ इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है, राइट? तो जो इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट की फॉर्म में अगर नाउन आता है, देन इट बिकम्स अ डेटिव केस. और अगर पोजेशन के फॉर्म में आता है, राम्स अम्ब्रेला, तो राम्स यहाँ पर हो गया जेनिटिव केस. तो आपको सेंटेंस में देखना पड़ेगा कि आपने जो नाउन यूज करा है वो कौन से केस में आ रहा है. वो सब्जेक्ट के केस में आ रहा है, वो ऑब्जेक्ट के केस में आ रहा है एज एक्यूजेटिव, वो इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट के केस में आ रहा है एज डेटिव, या फिर वो पोजेशन के केस में आ रहा है genitive. Okay, let's go to another thing. Cognate object क्या होता है और adverbial object क्या होता है. अब ऑब्जेक्ट बड़ी तरह का होता है ना. हमने कहा और तो सिंपल डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है. I eat an apple. I eat an apple and gave it to Sham. अब यहाँ Sham बन गया indirect object. Now, what is the cognate object? Cognate object is simply the verb's noun form. He slept a troubled sleep. Slept यहाँ verb है. Slept का अगर मैंने noun बना दिया, वो बन गया sleep. तो एक ही sentence में अगर verb का noun form आ जाए in the position of an object, then it becomes a cognate object. So sleep is the cognate object of the verb slept. Now let's go to adverbial object. अब ये क्या है? Many English nouns and phrases can be used as adverb. अब normally क्या होता है? हम कहते हैं adverb of manner, adverb of time, adverb of place, adverb of direction. ये सारे adverbs किस जगह पे आते हैं? ऑब्जेक्ट की जगह पे आते हैं. So it is snowing this morning. यहाँ morning क्या बन गया? Adverbial object है, right? ये noun नहीं है, ये adverb है, but क्योंकि ये object की जगह पे आया है, इसलिए ये बन गया adverbial object. Why is it an adverb? Because it is describing snowing and snowing is a verb. तो जो भी verb को define कर रहा है वो बन गया adverb, right? And क्योंकि ये object की position में है, इसलिए बन गया adverbial object. अगर time का देखें, I hope it snows all day. Again, day is describing what? Snows. She can stay home. Home is describing stay. So again, an adverbial object. And you can read the entire list on your own. Any adverb that comes in the position of an object becomes an adverbial object, right? Any object that comes in the position of describing the verb in the sentence becomes the noun form or the cognate object. Okay. The subject complement and the object complement. Whether she will resign is uncertain. Now, क्या हो रहा है? कौन resign कर रहा है? She. तो describe किसके लिए हो रहा है? She के लिए. तो ये description जो है वो subject she के लिए, तो subject complement हो गया. He pulled his belt tight. किसको pull करा tight? Belt को. किसने pull करा? He ने. He subject है, belt object है. क्योंकि object की बात हो रही है कि वो tightly pull हुआ है, तो ये बन गया object complement. तो एक सेंटेंस में अकेला ऑब्जेक्ट भी हो सकता है, ऑब्जेक्ट कॉम्प्लीमेंट भी हो सकता है. When I was studying grammar, in fact, when I was teaching grammar, when I was studying grammar, maybe I didn't have much understanding of grammar, a very basic, general understanding of grammar. But when I was teaching grammar, I've been teaching grammar for many years now. These are some questions that came in my mind. हम normally, different types of pronouns, distributive pronoun, relative pronoun, reflexive pronoun, हम इसके रट्टा मारते रहते हैं. Distributive adjective, relative adjective, interrogative adjective. We keep on learning these terms. But what do they actually mean in a sentence? That is what gives them the real meaning. Now, what is a distributive pronoun? Anything that distributes means a distributive pronoun or an adjective. Now, how do I distinguish? The basic quality of a pronoun is that it comes in the place of a noun. That means a distributive pronoun will come in the place of a subject or the object, right? And it will replace the noun in the sentence. So either it will replace the noun in the subject position or in the object position. So look at the first sentence. Each of the students. Now, what is each doing? Each is taking the place of the noun over here. Each of the students. हर एक student. Each of the students was given $2. अब यहाँ each is taking the place of the subject or the noun. That is why it is a distributive pronoun. Each student. Here each is taking the place of a adjective. What does adjective do? Adjective defines or qualifies a noun. That means student is a noun. It is coming before student. That means it's describing every student. Then it is a distributive adjective. So in a sentence, just look whether the distributive is coming as in the place of a noun, then it is a distributive pronoun, or it is coming before the noun, then it is a distributive adjective. This is a simple rule to distinguish both of them. Then demonstrative pronoun and demonstrative adjective, same thing over here. What is a pronoun? Takes the place of a noun. So these are cheesy examples. These is a pronoun over here. And because it is demonstrating, all these examples that I'm giving are very cheesy. Because it is demonstrating and it is coming in the position of a noun, so it is a pronoun, demonstrative pronoun. Not everyone can answer these questions. Now these over here, what it is doing? It is qualifying questions. Questions is a noun. It is telling what kind of questions? These questions. So it is describing a noun. So it is a demonstrative adjective. Now, relative pronoun versus relative adverb. Again, this is the letter that my mother sent me. What does a relative pronoun do? It shows a relationship between nouns, right? Letter, mother, both nouns. उनका relationship कौन बता रहा है? That. It is a relative pronoun, right? That my mother sent me. Relative adverb. ये relationship बता रहा है verb और noun का. This is the house where John lives. Where कहाँ? John कहाँ रहता है? John इस घर में रहता है. तो lives और house का relationship कौन बता रहा है? Where. जो verb और noun का relationship बताएगा, that is a relative adverb. जो noun का relationship बनाएगा आपस में, वो बन जाएगा relative pronoun. Similarly, interrogative pronouns and interrogative adjectives. Agar which color looks better, which, now it becomes this interrogative adjective. Color को define कर रहा है, color is a noun. So which is defining a noun, it becomes an interrogative adjective. Whose car it is? Now whose over here is asking a question. किसी के जगह पे आ रहा है, describe नहीं कर रहा. किसकी कार है? ये किसी noun की जगह पे आ रहा है. राम की कार है. तो किसकी कार है? राम की कार है. तो राम की जगह पे whose आ रहा है. Then it becomes an interrogative pronoun. Similarly, possessive adjectives versus possessive pronouns. The book on the table is mine, right? यहाँ पर क्या है ये? Possessive pronoun. मेरा possession बता रहा है, मेरी किताब है. तो जो टेबल पे पड़ी है वो मेरी किताब है. मेरा possession बता रहा है. My book. यहाँ क्या है? Book को describe कर रहा है. कौन सी किताब? मेरी किताब. Description of the book becomes adjective. So possessive adjective. किसकी किताब? अगर possession simply बता रहा है तो possessive pronoun. अगर possession को describe कर रहा है, then it is a possessive adjective. Okay, before I go to the next thing, Rupinder, if anybody needs to ask a question, can we pause for that?
Let me ask, ma'am. Let me just ask. Any queries, students? Any queries, students? Ma'am, we can put the queries in the end. We can take it up in the end. Okay.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. I hope I am not boring that much.
Ma'am, it's absolutely going well. I mean, I
Okay.
guess the intricacies you have touched, nobody could be touching. I mean,
Okay, I hope
we are
they
really
understand it
indebted.
as well.
They
Okay,
are
let's
actually.
let's go to the word confusions that we have. Now you'll go on Google and you'll find an exhaustive list of these confusions. And many times, when I also read it out, I know it, but when I'm using it, actually, I make a mistake. Now, then and than. Then tells me it happened then. तब हुआ था. अब नहीं हुआ था. Then. When I was unhappy, then I thought of quitting. Then, तब हुआ था. And than is comparison. I was more unhappy than my sister. Then it is a comparison. So then is telling a point in time, and than is telling a comparison. Similarly, into and into. Into किसी movement के साथ होता है. The cat ran into the basket. Into हमेशा movement के साथ चलेगा. और into मैं उसको मिलने गई. Peter walked in to see his. वो कमरे के अंदर आया ताकि वो देख सके अपने सुपरवाइजर को. Peter walked in to see his supervisor. यहाँ in और to अलग है. So into is movement. When you move and bang into something, then it is into. I walked into her office. तो उसके कमरे के अंदर गई बिना देखे क्या हो रहा था. So this obviously has a lot of aggressive movement with it. And when it is not an aggressive movement, then I walked in. मैं आराम से गई देखने के लिए कि क्या था. दोनों में फर्क है. Then later, latter, latest, last. अब later और latest to time. I will meet you later. I will meet you latest. I will do this latest by tomorrow. मतलब जल्दी से जल्दी मैं कल तक ये कर सकती हूँ, right? Latter. एक होता है former, एक होता है latter. Former is पहला, latter is पुराना, right? I don't like this. This is a former, this is a former account of the story. This is a latter account of the story. I like the latter one, the second one. Last. I'll come last in this class. This is my position. So last is telling position, later and latest is telling time period. कब होगा काम, right? Elder, older, eldest, oldest. Elder and eldest is only for people. You can't say this line is elder than the other line. वो नहीं हो सकता. तब older आएगा. Older and oldest is for persons and objects, right? Elder and eldest is only for persons. Then father and further. So both refer to distance. I am farther than you. मैं आपसे काफी दूर हूँ. I am further than you. जितने आप हो उससे थोड़ा सा और आगे हो मैं, right? तो आपकी पोजीशन से मेरी जो रिलेटिव पोजीशन है थोड़ी सी ज्यादा है. Father is मैं आपसे काफी दूर हूँ. Then nearest, next. The nearest is I'm nearest to Jalandhar, right? This is the nearest distance that I can cover. I'm next in line for this assignment. अगली बारी मेरी है, right? Some and any. Some is always used in a positive sense. I have some sugar. I have some, work to finish. Any is always used in negative sense. Do you have any sense? कुछ समझ है आपको कि नहीं है, right? अगर sentence if से शुरू होता है, then any can be used in a positive sense. Only and only if the sentence starts with if. If you need any money, अगर आपको कुछ पैसा चाहिए, I will help you. मैं आपकी मदद करूंगी. Then it will be used as positive. Otherwise, any is used as negative. Each and every. Each refers to all the individuals in the group. Each of the students in the class will now ask a question. हर एक को individually मैंने point out कर दिया. Every, as a collective, every student in this class will ask a question. यहाँ मैंने as a group आपको refer करा. Each में मैंने particularly individuals को refer करा. Then little, a little, the little. इसमें बहुत confusion रहती है. Little is hardly any. I have little sugar left. खत्म है. बस एक या दो, छोटे छोटे से maybe minuscule सा पड़ा है amount. बहुत थोड़ा सा. A little is some. A little sugar. थोड़ी सी है. आज की चाय बन जाएगी. The little is all available. This is the little sugar that I have. इतनी मेरे पास. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं है मेरे पास. Right? Then similarly, few, a few, the few. Few is hardly any. Again, the same rule. जैसे little का होता है. Hardly. Few copies. थोड़ा सा काम रहता है. बस खत्म ही almost. A few copies are left. कुछ रहता है अभी. 10, 12, 20, 25 रहता है. The few is all there is available. These are the few copies that are left to be checked. इतनी ही पड़ी है. Now again, in, at, on, by. इसमें इतना कंफ्यूजन रहता है. in आएगा कि at आएगा कि on आएगा कि by आएगा. अब in क्या है? In है when we are talking of a place as an area. I live in Ludhiana. Area है लुधियाना जहाँ मैं रहती हूँ. अगर मैं लुधियाना को as a point refer कर रही हूँ, place of reference. I used to study at Ludhiana when I was 18 years old. At यहाँ पर क्या है? As a point. मैं geographical area की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ. As a particular point, as a reference point, तब आएगा at, right? और अगर मैं कहती हूँ as a surface Ludhiana, I used to study I used to walk bare feet on the soil of Ludhiana. अब यहाँ पे लुधियाना के सरफेस को रेफर कर रही हूँ कि लुधियाना की जो सरफेस है, जो उसका soil है, मैं उसको रेफर कर रही हूँ as a physical entity. Then it is on. And last is by. By किसी भी ट्रांसपोर्ट से है. I travel by bike. अब यहाँ एक रूल है, by के बाद कभी भी आर्टिकल नहीं आता a और as. So I do not travel by a bike, I travel by bike. I do not travel by an apple, I travel by apple. If that is valid. So you do not use an article after by. By is a motion position. Simply telling that something is happened by motion. So in is referring to a place as a geographical area. At is referring to a point, place as a point or a reference point. On is referring to a place as a surface, and by is referring to a transport. And then since, for, till. We were confusing it. I have been talking since 10 o'clock in the morning. I have been talking for 1 hour. Right? अब अगर मुझे पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट बताना है तो since आएगा, अगर मुझे टाइम पीरियड बताना है तो for आएगा. I will be talking till 12 o'clock. No, I will not be talking till 12 o'clock. Don't get worried. But I will be talking till 12 o'clock. Now I'm telling a particular deadline जहाँ तक मुझे ये करना है. So since is for a particular time, for is for a particular period, and till is a deadline that I have to. This is the end of that period of time. Then example versus that is ये हम बड़ा commonly use करते हैं. E.g. is example. इसका example है. Vegetables का example है broccoli, green beans, cauliflower. और that is का example है उसकी explanation. Why do I like vegetables? Because they are healthy. ये उसकी explanation है, ये उसका example नहीं है. So E.g. is for example, that is for explanation. That and who. Now who is for people? That is for object, right? Or even for non-living things. Sometimes of non-living things के लिए which we use करते हैं. Fewer and lesser. Less is for hypothetical, hypothetical quantities. The firm has fewer than 10 employees. 10 से थोड़े से कम है, maybe 8 या 9 होंगे. I'm not very sure, right? The firm is less successful. Comparison आ गया. उसके comparatively less successful है. So less is for quantifying. You quantify things to few, I'm sorry, and to less you compare things. Then between and among. Between is between two people and among is more than two people. This fruit was shared between Ram and Sham. The fruit was distributed among the students of the class. अब यहाँ 2 से ज्यादा लोग आ गए तो among आ गया, 2 लोग आ गए तो between आ गया. Me, myself and I. अब ये एक बड़ी common mistake है जब हम आपको बोलते हैं introduce yourself, we say myself this. Now you people have studied grammar. Myself is reflexive pronoun, means it tells about some reflex action. And when you are introducing yourself, this is not an action. आपका होना is an action. आप कुछ काम करोगे तो action होगा. So you always introduce yourself as I am, not myself. I am this. I am Sumedha, not myself, Sumedha, right? So I eat an apple myself. This is a reflexive pronoun. I myself will do this work. Now a reflexive pronoun becomes an emphatic pronoun. मैं खुद करूँगी, किसी और से नहीं करवाऊँगी, right? And me is, are you copying me? Now me is coming in the position of an object, right? Then since and because. Since refers to time. Since I quit drinking, I'm happy now. Because I quit drinking, I no longer wake up in my own vomit. Now, because is a cause. इसकी वजह से. Since time को रेफर करता है, because cause को रेफर करता है. दोनों में फर्क है. Time की अगर हम बात करेंगे तो since की बात करेंगे. किस वजह से हुआ अगर उसकी बात करेंगे तो because की बात करेंगे. And this one, there. What is the difference between these? They apostrophe RE is a small for they are. They are going to the store together. THEIR is for possession. right? EIR, I आ गया मेरे लिए, possession के, it is their weekly routine. And THERE is a adjective or a demonstrative as well, a demonstrative adjective. वो वहाँ पड़ा है, it is kept there, right? Then it is indicating a location or a direction. Then your and your. Your with apostrophe is for you are. You are going to be a great writer. And yours is a possession. Your hair is looking very nice today. Now whose and whose. Whose with an apostrophe is who is. Who is on the first page? कौन है यहाँ पर? Whose watch? किसकी है ये? Again a possession. Then true, true, true. This is a very common mistake. True क्या है? Preposition है, right? Imperative की तरह भी use होता है many times. Then true एक verb है. I also want to go with you. मैं भी आपके साथ जाना चाहता हूँ. You are happy. आप भी खुश हो. Then WO is a number. I need not explain that. A lot, and a lot. A lot. I have a lot of work on my hands. मुझे बहुत काम करना है. A lot. इकट्ठा है तो कोई word ही नहीं होता. And ALLOT कुछ allot करना, कुछ देना, कुछ distribute करना, कुछ assign करना. I was allotted this task of giving a presentation. तो मुझे ये काम मिला. Then it's. Now it's क्या है? With an apostrophe, IT apostrophe, it is. It is a beautiful day. And when I have to say a possession, then I say EITS, it. Download the program along with its readme file. And it's with apostrophe after this is not a word. Let me ask you, when you say Teacher's Day, where do we put an apostrophe? After R or after S? If I put after R, that means there's only one Teacher's Day. एक ही टीचर का दिन नहीं है. Which I wish to say it is the day of every teacher. And I say TECHERS and then apostrophe because it is the day of every teacher, right? Children's Day. Children itself is a plural. EN. So N के बाद apostrophe, right? Father's Day. Again, S के बाद एक father का दिन नहीं है. Mother's Day. एक mother का दिन नहीं है. S के बाद. S से पहले नहीं. And the last is who and whom. ये बड़ी कंफ्यूजन होती है. Who हमेशा subject के पोजीशन में आता है. Who is that man? This book belongs to whom. Whom हमेशा object के पोजीशन. Whom has this book? ये गलत है sentence because whom कभी भी subject की पोजीशन पे नहीं आएगा. Whom हमेशा object की पोजीशन पे आएगा. Whether you do this or not is your decision. एक condition लगा दी. करोगे कि नहीं ये तुम्हारा decision है. If you do this will happen. यहाँ पर मैंने condition नहीं लगाई है. Okay, this is about all from me. Thank you a lot for your patience. I hope I am able to, cater to some aspects of grammar which maybe made it more understandable and comprehensible. I would love to have some questions, opinions, and suggestions. I'm a person learning, so
Ma'am,
If
there's a question from a student.
yeah,
She
effect and
says,
effect.
yes.
Effect and effect. Now this is very common. Effect is when I have affected his behavior. Now affected his behavior is मेरा impact हो गया उसके ऊपर. मैंने किया कुछ नहीं, पर उसको अपने आप मेरा impact feel हो गया. I'm affected by corona. अब कोरोना तो मेरे पास आया नहीं, उसने मुझे कुछ कहा नहीं, पर कोरोना का मेरे ऊपर effect आ गया. Right? So something which does not take action but has an indirect effect on me is affect. I effected a change in me. मैंने पूरी कोशिश करी कि change ला पाऊँ. Right? मैंने मेहनत करी, मैंने उसको नई चीजें सिखाई, मैंने उसको नया कुछ समझाया, तो वो effect है. अगर मैंने एक्शन इन्वॉल्व करा है दूसरे में चेंज लाने के लिए तो वह इफेक्ट है. अगर विदाउट एक्शन चेंज आ गया तो वो अफेक्ट है. दैट इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस. I hope I've made myself clear.
Wonderfully explained, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Students, you can unmute yourself and then also you can ask the question. मैम एक क्वेश्चन है जो नॉर्मली स्टूडेंट्स पूछते हैं. दे सेज कि हमारे पास कंटेंट बहुत होता है, यू नो, वर्ड्स बहुत है, पर उन्होंने यू नो उसको इंग्लिश में नहीं करना आता ट्रांसफर. तो हाउ टू यूज यू नो such vocabulary that you have in head? I mean, obviously every person, yeah.
जो भी vocabulary है, हम normally लिखते कैसे हैं? हम normally, we all, because English is not our first language, हम उसको हिंदी या पंजाबी में सोचते हैं, फिर हम उसको translate करते हैं. This is how we work, isn't it? अब उसमें लिए होता क्या है कि हमारे पास वर्ड्स तो आ गए, पर वर्ड्स की जो पोजीशनिंग है, एज आई सेड, इन हिंदी एंड पंजाबी वर्ब आता है बाद में, इंग्लिश में वर्ब आता है बीच में, राइट? ये अगर हम बेसिक 2 डिफरेंसेस पकड़ ले कि हमने वर्ब को आइडेंटिफाई करना है, हमने नाउन को आइडेंटिफाई करना है, हमने जो भी वर्ड रखने हैं उनका आपस में रिलेशनशिप कैसे एस्टैब्लिश करना है, तो हमारा सेंटेंस सही है. तो रिलेशनशिप कैसे एस्टैब्लिश करना है? आई पिक आउट द वर्ब. अब वो वर्ब मेरे कंटेंट वर्ड के साथ कैसे मैच करता है, वो मैंने मैचिंग बना देनी है. कंटेंट वर्ड मेरा सब्जेक्ट पोजीशन पे आएगा, ऑब्जेक्ट पोजीशन पे आएगा, और बीच में कोई प्रेपोजिशन लगेगा तो वो ऑब्जेक्ट से पहले आएगा, राइट? हमें सिंपली ये चीजों का ध्यान रखना है. एक सिंपल तरीका मैं स्टूडेंट्स को कहती होती हूँ कि वी ऑलवेज से मेक अ थ्री चार्ट. दिस इज कॉल्ड द राइटिंग चार्ट. हम लिखना कैसे शुरू करते हैं? वी डोंट स्टार्ट राइटिंग इन पैराग्राफ स्ट्रेट अवे. We don't. The problem is, with the technology is कि हम जाते हैं Google पे और Google पे एक perfectly drafted piece मिलता है. And obviously I can't write as good as Google, so let's not give it a try. तो हमारा पहले ही जो मोरल है वो नीचे आ जाता है. So when you start writing, I always tell students, switch off your computer. Write on a paper. Because when you start writing on a paper, you don't have a point of reference कि कौन सा अच्छा है, कौन सा बुरा है. जो कॉन्फिडेंस है वो बेस्ड ऑन कंपैरिजन नहीं आता, राइट? देन यू मेक अ सर्कल ऑन अ पीस ऑफ पेपर, व्हाटएवर योर टॉपिक इज देयर, यू मेक दैट सर्कल, राइट योर टॉपिक इन दैट सर्कल. Then you start offshooting what are the points related to that topic, right? So you will put that point as offshoots of that circle. Ab wo point, for example, giving a presentation in a seminar is my topic. Right? Now, what are the points in mind? What will be my intro? What will be my content? What will be my conclusion? What are the points I have to keep in mind? How will I speak? How will I address? What will the audience ask? These are all the points. Then I prioritize it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First, I will talk about introduction. Then I will talk about my material. Then I will talk about my conclusion. First, second, third. That first point becomes my first paragraph. Second point becomes my second paragraph. Third point becomes my third paragraph. Now, these different paragraphs stand, not in coordination with each other. They are standing independent with each other on a piece of paper. Now I join them together. जैसे हम सीमेंट लगाते हैं ना ब्रिक्स, अपने ब्रिक्स के अंदर, वैसे ही वो सीमेंट लगाना है. वो सीमेंट लगाना है ट्रांजिशनल सेंटेंसेस से. Last sentence of my first paragraph and the first sentence of my second paragraph should match. So last sentence of the first paragraph will end the paragraph and put a reference to the coming paragraph. कि अब हम इसकी बात करेंगे. That is my transitional sentence. So I join these sentences together through my transitional sentence, and that is how you start writing a paragraph. If you remember, जब हम छोटे थे हमें outline दिया जाता था लिखने के लिए. एक outline दिया जाता था, इसका paragraph बनाओ. वो आउटलाइन बेसिकली आपका ये ट्री चार्ट ही था. हमने हौली हौली वो बनाना बंद कर दिया and we started thinking of writing paragraphs as it is, which is not possible. Your vocabulary might be very good unless and until you are able to put it into sentences which have meaningful units. That vocabulary has no meaning. So you put your words in the form of 1 or 2 sentences and then elaborate on those sentences. This is an exhaustive lecture in itself, how to make a paragraph. Maybe some other time we'll do so, right? But simply a paragraph must have a topic sentence that describes what the paragraph is, an explanation sentence which explains the concept, An illustration sentence illustrates how, these things are working in practicality, a data or a figure, and then fourth, a concluding sentence. And fifth would be a transitional sentence. That's how a paragraph is formed. That's how you write. I hope we can be able to, justify
Yes,
a little
ma'am.
bit.
Absolutely, ma'am. There's one more question from a student. She says, ma'am, sometimes it is said that she is into studies. Here, into is used or into is used.
Actually, English is a very funny language, and there are so many anomalies in this language, and you can't say this is 100% rule for any language, because language is basically 10 people saying, okay, this is how it's going to be spoken, and then others follow it. Right? This is how language develops. So when I say she's into studies, I did not barge into studies. I did not run into studies. Right? She's into studying, right? This is an informal way of studying, of saying a sentence. This is not a formal structure of a sentence. Informally, उसको पढ़ने का शौक है, तो इसको मैंने translate कर दिया. She is into studies. The right way would be she likes studying. That is the formal way of writing it. She likes studying. Informally, हम कहते हैं she is into studies. Now this is incorrect grammatically. Grammatically, this is incorrect. Grammatically, it should be she likes studies. Because अगर हम into की definition ले तो into तो barging into something होता है. तो तुम studies के बीच में जाके तुम घुसे थोड़ी ना उसके अंदर. तुमने धक्का थोड़ी ना मारा studies को. So that is a literal translation from Hindi when we say she is into studies. Your right sentence should be she likes studying.
Okay.
Right?
Absolutely, ma'am. Any other queries? So there's a huge response from the students. They're thanking you for the lecture. And should I conclude, ma'am?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful. I hope I didn't bore much and I could entertain only few queries. I would love more if anybody wants to ask more questions later. You can just WhatsApp me the questions, right? I'm also a student of grammar. I learn every day, and I'm sure okay, one more question somebody said.
There's something not getting what she's trying to say.
I'm not able to. Thank you each one or as per rules. No. Now, thank you everyone because you are referring to a group. अगर आपको 10 लोगों ने लाइक कमेंट्स दिए हैं तो आप एज अ ग्रुप 10 लोगों को थैंक यू कर रहे हो ना, आप इंडिविजुअली नहीं ना कर रहे, तो थैंक यू एवरीवन ही आएगा, थैंक यू ईच नहीं आएगा. So I'll say thank you everyone for your time, for being a wonderful audience, for showing so much patience towards me regarding a boring topic as grammar, and I hope I've justified. Thank you so much for having me.
English is, I'm sorry to Bajil, but English is never so boring. I mean, to have you, teacher like you. So English had never been boring for me because you being my teacher, I've always learned. And in fact, I would really be very assuring to you that students would have learned a lot from your whatever you had, uh, presented in front of us. And we are absolutely honored to have you on board, ma'am. And we are beholden and uh, thankful to you to have learned from your intellectual ruminations. And we look forward to many more lectures from you. And we are also thankful to Madam Principal to have organized this lecture for us. And we are thankful to IQAC committee also to have organized this event. And thank you so much, ma'am, for your lovely intellectual insights on the subject. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rupinder. Thank you for having me. And goodbye, students. And keep reading always because that's how your neurons will develop the language in your brain.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Students, we are sending another link to you. Sorry for inconvenience, students. We'll send the link in your respective groups, WhatsApp group, right? We'll be sending the link in your respective WhatsApp group because this is actually not working right now. So we'll send it there. Thank you for your patience and thank you so much.